Welcome back to another episode of Just My Baby Daddy. It's your boy AJ.
It's your boy Coach Eli.
And today on the show, so I don't know, we have co-founder of Dear Fathers, and I don't know whether to call it a podcast, merchandise, IG page. I just call it like a movement because it encompasses everything. We have Mr. Lamar Johnson on the podcast today. Appreciate you being here.
Appreciate y'all having me on, man. Appreciate it.
He told me you might want the name Mogul in front of your name because with all the stuff that you all do, report on and everything else. So we might have to throw Mogul in there next time,
man,
AJ.
Nah, this is good, man. Co-founder. It's all good. Humble.
All right. Bet. All right, AJ, start them off. Start them off the same way we start off everybody.
Yeah, we're going to start you off the same way we start off everybody. We're going to ask you, what does it mean to you to be a father?
Man, what does it mean to me to be a father? It means a lot, really, man. I think growing up without any type of real relationship with a father, or even like seeing real fathers at work growing up, like from in my neighborhood or in my family, I just never saw real dads at work, right? And so for me, it means a lot because I everything I know about fatherhood growing up was based off of television, Family Matters, Fresh Prince, these shows that we grew up watching. So for me, it's important, and it means a lot because what I do realize is that we're creating the next generation and the next to leave a legacy behind, but also just the next generation of Black people, and just trying to build up our community based off of like what type of information and knowledge that we leave into our kids. I mean, they're a reflection of us, but are we really thinking about that as we father and parent them, right? So that's it means a lot to me because I think about like what I'm leaving for them, but also the grandchildren and everything behind.
Man, that we get that a lot. That a lot of people say TV.
Mm-hmm.
Like that comes up a lot more than I realized. Like, this is probably about the 7th, 8th time this come up. I don't know, 30 times we had this conversation, Eli.
Oh yeah, for sure. But thinking about that though is when you say you didn't necessarily see fathers in action, and then if you the portrayals of Black fathers on TV. What do you learn from that? But also, what do you feel like seeing fathers not as active as you should have seen? How does that impact your parenting at this point?
Yeah, I mean, I would start off by saying, again, the shows that we watch were 30-minute segments with commercials, like 25 minutes. Typically, they go something like this. Show comes on, situation occurs, Eddie Winslow skips school, whatever, hanging out, Steve Urkel, funny, laugh. Carl Winslow finds out what happened, sits him down. By the time the show's going off and 25 minutes later, they figured it out, right? They figured out, okay, you can't do that. You got to go to class, man. We want you to graduate, right? And it's like, oh, okay. And they eat dinner and the show goes off, right? And so for me, I'm like, oh man, I could be a dad. So when people ask me when I was younger and like I started dating and like, you don't want to be a dad? I'm like, yeah, like of course. I mean, I've seen it all the time. Like I could be like Uncle Phil, like 30 minutes. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking like, like I think that it's over after we had a conversation once and you just go on, but that's nothing. It's not a real thing. You know what I'm saying? And so, and like I said, not really seeing it. Now I did. My basketball coach, his son was on our team, which is one of our best friends now. We grew up, and so I saw him coaching his son, but I didn't never look at him as like dad per se because he was a coach, and so I don't know, man. I think it's definitely impacted me a lot though, and it changes things because what I did like realize is that it's way deeper than just you talk to your child once and then it kind of, she gets it or he gets it. And then we move on to I don't have to worry about it. I can go to work, I go to sleep. But no, you got to talk to them a few times about the same thing, and got to put them on punishment sometimes. And if you grew up when I grew up, you were getting a whooping, right? So it's these different things, man. I think it's good for entertainment, and it gives you a good idea of what it looks like. We were able to see some black families on TV, and I think that was a good depiction for us as black people. But it was kind of deceiving, I mean, I really thought I had my first kid at 23, and I was like, okay, cool. But I really didn't start to really tap into being a dad, man, until I was like 26, because I really didn't know what the hell I was doing. Like, I thought that, as a baby too, like that you don't see that even at that point, if you think about it, they're not showing raising infants on TV, you being a father started, that's not how it
change the
goes.
diaper once on TV really
Right.
quick. You just change it, the baby's done. Like they never mess up while you're changing them. Like that never happens, right? Like, come on. Are you kidding me?
None of that. And so it's no playbook, man.
But what was that moment where you realized you didn't know everything, or you didn't know what you were doing, and you had some areas that you needed to grow in? Like, what was that moment?
As a father, as a man? No, as a father, man, shoot. It would probably be like when my daughter started her period, right? So I already knew, not growing up with a dad, I knew already that I didn't know a lot about being a father, right? But when I knew for sure, like, yo, you got a lot, and you don't know as much as you think you do. So she started her period, and she was with me. So she doesn't stay with me full time. So she was with me, and I'm in California, her mom's in Georgia. But she didn't start a period. So I sent her home. The next day they called and said, hey, she started a period. And I'm like, whoa, thank God, because what was I gonna say? How was I gonna even start the conversation? Like, I'm like asking her mom, hey, had you been talking to her about this? Or like, what was I supposed to do? I didn't even know this was coming, And so I think that's when I really realized, like, damn, what would I have said? And so then when I talked to her, and I was kind of like hesitant to bring the conversation up, but luckily, thankfully, she wasn't. She was like, oh yeah, I started it, and mom told me to do these things, and I'm okay. And so when she come with me, she's just like, hey, I need pads, or hey, I need to, lay down. I'm like, damn, you speak really
dark colors
open with it.
Let me have dark colors. Let me have some what I call protection. It's not the kind that we would think of, but that's how I used to call it when my daughter was growing up. Are you strapped up? That's all our normal terminology was different because it had a whole different meaning, because you want to make sure that whenever she walked out the house, that's things that I learned. Walked out the house, that she's always prepared, because I guess from a female perspective, you never know what's going to happen and when it's going to happen. Sure. So, I feel your pain.
Man, I'm not going to lie to you. The fact that you even brought that up speaks a lot, because we talked earlier about certain things that can be relatable or across, no matter who you are. To me, that is one of my biggest fears. Because, my oldest daughter also doesn't stay with me. And, if she would have started her period while she's the weekend and she's with me, I don't know. Honestly,
pick up the phone.
Pick up the phone. But even still, it's like the whole thought process of it all. Like it was just the other day, she came home from school. She had a headache and all this other stuff. And her mom sent a text. And she said, I hope she's not starting PMSing. And I just told her, don't make me start crying at work. Like, I don't know. I don't know what to do or what to say. Like,
right.
Just the thought of it, just you could read about it. You can be like, yeah, you supposed to talk to her this way and this, that. And just call your mom. But I'm going to try my best to be patient and calm. But I ain't gonna lie. That scares me. That's one of my real legit fears, is being there when it first happens.
Yeah, because you can get all the advice and try to think you're as prepared as possible, but in real time, like I said, it's not just like a quick, you know what, make sure you got this, and then you walk away, and then she got, you gotta talk her through it, because again, that's her first time she's experiencing it, right? It's new to her. Like, does she think about what her other girls are gonna think of her, what the boys are thinking of her, and they're changing, their bodies are changing, and so that's the whole conversation, right? And so a little kid was like, I guess he was teasing her about, I don't know, man, I can't remember. It was just nonsense, but I'm just like, they lame. I don't know how to really tell them that stuff don't matter. But I was trying to tell her, like, that stuff is irrelevant. Like, he probably likes you, and it's this whole thing. But we got a whole, and I said, she's 12, and we just getting started, man. Like, trust me, I'm sure he knows, Eli, they got a 20-year-old, man. Like, we just warming up.
Yeah, for sure. But you hit on something. I don't even know if you meant to, but when I asked the question about when did you realize, you said as a man or as a father. And to me, those are two totally different things. And so I want to circle back to that, because when you're a man and you want to set that precedence of, I'm a present, active father, not just a donor.
Yeah.
You look at life a little bit different. But as a man, what are some of those things that you had to realize, either one, you had to grow in again, or two, you like, you know what, let me take a step back, because I really need to figure some stuff out as a man, but not as a father, because that's a totally different animal right there.
Yeah. Man. So my wife, she's 6 years older than me. And so when I got with her, my daughter was 2. And so, she already has a different way of thinking. She's very like spiritual, and so she's heavy and doing things the right way and living the right way. But anyway, I kind of get that backstory because I want to just make sure I kind of paint the picture. And so anyway, so me and my daughter's mom, we've never been like this baby mom, baby dad type drama type. It's never been the case with us. We just didn't work out, and then we went our separate ways. And so she would, you start dating somebody, especially if you got a younger kid, a lot of women are like, oh, they probably fooling around, messing with each other still, you got this whole thing. Oh. And so when we first started dating, like my girlfriend at the time, I was living with my daughter and her mom in like a 1-bedroom apartment. And so I was like sleeping on the couch, and and you gotta think about it, telling your new girlfriend this, new person, they're like, all right, okay, whatever, right? But my girlfriend, she may have thought that, but she never like gave off like, yo, like, what? I don't trust it. And so we were like doing really good. But I was telling the truth, man. I mean, I had nothing to lose. Like, that was my truth, right? We were living together. I wasn't with her. We wasn't trying to be together. Nothing like that. I was just here to try to get on my feet in California and take care of my kid. And so she believed. And so I just asked her. I was asking her like, hey, how did you get through that? Like, once I finally moved from there, I was like, moved out. And I was like, how did you, like, what made you even believe me or whatever? And she was just like, I mean, I could see what type of person you were. I could see that, you were trying to be a good man or be a good dad. And I mean, hey, you could have been lying, but I believed you were telling the truth. And it kind of opened my eyes in the sense of like, we have our thoughts on like what everything is going, like how things go or how they usually go or typically go, because usually every woman, I'm like, yeah, right, you probably still messing with her, blah, blah, blah. But she gave me like grace, and she believed and trusted in me with that. And so I would just give a lot of credit to my wife, because, man, like, she started to open my eyes, because like I wasn't like saving money. I wasn't being responsible, like, just not because I wanted to do other cool stuff, but I just didn't know how. I never, I didn't really, my family wasn't good financially like that. And so, I would just say that I realized that once we started dating, like, I need to really get my stuff together, because this is what like an adult looks like, right, per se. And this is an adult woman. Like, how I expect to be like a man or adult man. And, I'm still like chasing women, liking all these pictures and being who I am, talking to exes and doing all these things. But also, like, I still had a daughter, but I wasn't like fully locked in. That's why I said, like, I didn't start to really lock in until like 27. I met her when I was like 25, but I still had a lot of growing to do. But it was just different things, man. She wasn't like this jealous girlfriend. So she was just really showing me like patience, and so it really spread to my daughter's mom, because she wanted to get in this little back and forth thing once I got a girlfriend, like, oh, she can't be around my daughter, all of this. And then we just went along with it. And we just showed patience and grace, right, with it, to just show her, like, hey, we not against each other. It's a team, like all three of us, right? And so we continue to show her, like, we never going to engage in like this, beef that you're trying to create just because you've seen it online or that's what your friends do. We just kind of kept even chill, and eventually she just like fell in place, and we are cool enough to just make sure we take care of our kid and take care of our responsibility. So, yeah, man, it's been an interesting journey, but I'm a really patient and just like chill person. So I trusted my wife because I felt like the way she was living her life, like, it was something about her that I'm like, she may know what she's talking about, man. I'm gonna just take these notes, and because I could have engaged in it, and we could have gotten a whole back and forth, and you ain't seen your kid, don't have a girl around her, and this and that, and it would have been a big thing. But we've seen it. I've seen that story plenty of times. I've seen that movie,
Dope.
And don't be hard on yourself, man. You said you started maturing at like 25. Man,
Yeah.
that sounds amazing to me.
well, only because I had a kid, man. I had a kid already.
Well, I
got you, but Jesus, 25 is
yeah.
You said he was ahead of schedule.
Oh yeah, very much.
Well, I mean, yeah. I think it was a lot more pressure. Like I said, I had a kid, but then also like, I'm the oldest, and I got younger siblings, but I had to take care of them too when I was younger. So I felt like I already had that in me a little bit. But nah, man, because it then goes back to, okay, you're doing the same pattern as your dad, right? Like, you're not really in your kid's life, right? So it was laying heavy on me because, I'm like, damn, right? I was sending money, but that wasn't. Yeah.
So with that being said, you talked about your younger siblings. Is that when you feel like your fatherhood instincts first kicked in?
I mean, hindsight, yeah. In real time, no, survival of the fittest, man. We're just doing what we need to do in real time because my mom's working. Before we go to school, she's gone. We get home from school, she ain't made it home from work yet, so it was just a natural thing that, our moms in our community, they're like, hey, you 7, you 6, hey, look, make sure your sister good, make sure you fix her something to eat, man. Like, you're the man in the house. That was a early responsibility for me. So I never really thought about it. I just know it wasn't no man here, so she said I'm the man of the house, so that's what I'm on.
Get home, lock the door, don't open the door for nobody, that type of thing.
Bingo.
Yep.
But it's something that we hear a lot is when we were just joking about being ahead of schedule as far as maturity. But when it comes to men who didn't have the strongest or the most present father, right? Most active father, let's say it that way, because you can be present and not active. But we always hear that there's a level of immaturity that's relegated to men, again, that didn't have that father figure presence. But can we attribute that necessarily to the father not being there, or just us, our maturation process as men? What are your thoughts? Both of y'all, really?
Yeah. That's a good question. I mean, the whole thing, like, I want to have, or I want to give my children what I didn't have. I think that's the natural, or that's the safe way, but I think, I think the maturity as a man probably plays a huge role in it. But I think, I do think that, like, I never thought about, like, my dad wasn't home. Like I said, in my neighborhood, nobody's dad was in their house, right?
Right.
So, and they would say, well, my coach was my basketball coach, my best friend, like, his dad was our coach. But he wasn't like, he was being a dad, I'm sure, but it wasn't like, he was just being a coach more than anything. And so I say that to say, because, like, my aunts, my cousins, they dads weren't in the house, none of that, man. I wasn't never thinking about, oh, no, dad's at home or none of that. So getting older, I look back and I'm like, when I needed to start thinking about like, well, what am I supposed to do in these situations now that I'm a dad? I think it probably wouldn't even hit me until I was a father, that then I started to kind of dial back and say, damn, I am acting the way I act, or I was, because I didn't have a dad. But I think we didn't start having the conversations until, me and my co-founder, I think we were probably like 28, 29, where we were like, man, because we used to always joke about, not having a dad, but it was like, not like that, but it would be, hey man, you know how to change a tire? And then be like, nah, man, I ain't have my dad growing up. And we laugh it off, you know what I'm saying? Go to class, keep hooping, whatever, right? Oh, it's the holiday, Memorial Day. You know how to grill? Nah, I ain't have my dad growing up. Laugh it off. Man, I'm telling you, like, we hit like 29, 30. We're like, man, this shit is not funny, bro. Like, we keep laughing at the same thing, but we kind of probably traumatized off of this, you know what I'm saying? And so it was one of those things where you don't, they're saying, oh, you're a real man, or you're a man. We're like, man, I don't really know what that is, because I feel I'm a man, I'm a male. I talk to women, I do this. But what is all these things that we missed out on? And we started to dive deep, man, into trying to figure out, like, how can we help younger kids, how can we help our communities to, fill that gap and not have those questions answered. And, that's kind of how we ended up what we were doing.
Dope.
Yeah, I mean, I never thought about, like I said, I never really thought about not having a dad. Like, it never, and I guess also for me, mine's hit different because I never could feel a sense of abandonment from my father. My father was killed. You know what I'm saying? So like those about, I don't feel like I can relate to people when it comes to not having a father, right? But I can't when it's like the sense of, oh, I ain't have a dad. Like, to me, it's just a thing. It wasn't like, I don't feel like it was a trauma thing to me to the point where it's like I feel a certain type of way. It was just, it's like he's just gone. Like, it's not that he didn't want to be here. Not that I feel like I wasn't loved. It's not none of that. It's just,
for sure,
it's just part of the game. Like, it's just what happens.
Yeah, I didn't have that feeling either. I never really had that resentment, like, oh, I could have been. I did ask myself, like I said later, 29, 30 something. I'm like, hey, dang, maybe, because I used to play basketball, like, maybe if my dad was in my corner or supporter, maybe I would have turned out to be a different person. And a lot of people are like, man, what you guys are doing are a good thing. It's a good thing. And if you did have your dad, different relationship, we probably wouldn't have this platform that you guys have built. And so, everything happens for a reason. Me and my dad, like, I mean, I knew my dad and I did see him. I saw him. I just didn't have any type of relationship with him, even to this day, when I talk to him, I don't know what to say to him because we don't have any type of relationship. So it's like, oh, what's up? You watching the basketball game, football? All right, man, I'll let you. Right. So, and as in my older years, I do understand he didn't have his dad. He don't know what it's like to be dad, but he didn't put the work in to figure out how to become a better dad or how to be a dad, or he's just okay with, like, okay, I'm better. I at least know my son, right? I'm doing better than my dad. I think that's his idea about it. And I haven't had a conversation with him, and I plan to, but I just haven't, man. We're going on 5 years doing what we're doing, and I haven't really built the courage to sit down and be like, man, I just want to talk. Like,
yeah, I was going to say, is he familiar with your platform? And if so, have y'all ever had a conversation about your platform, or
he's
have
familiar.
you had a conversation about your upbringing?
He's familiar with the platform. I didn't tell him, like, because my younger brother stays with him, and because he had another son, and so his wife and him, they all live together with my younger brother, and so my brother, I have a good relationship with my brother because I just made sure of that, and so my brother, I always have my brother come out to my events out of town or anything. I would fly him out and do whatever to make sure he's a part of it. And so I'll say, hey, ask dad, hey, will he come to our event, the one we did back home in St. Louis? I'm like, will he come to the event? He's like, oh, he said he'll come. So I'm like, cool. So He came out to one of them. And so obviously at that point, he knows like, okay, I do something fatherhood related or not. I don't know if my younger brother went into detail about why I started it or, it really stemmed from him, but we had like a little day party father celebration thing. So it was like really like turned up. It was a big celebration, like 300 people. And he drinks a lot and I had free drinks and everything. So they enjoyed themselves. Right. And so I don't think he was really like, dang, so is this about me? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think he sat there thinking about like, oh, why did he start this? Like, he's just drinking and enjoying himself. So, I think, but like I said, I do want to have a conversation with him, man. I don't know.
So, because what you said there is really, really interesting because it's a dynamic. Well, first I got to find out, how is your brother's relationship with your father?
See, that's another conversation. So when I first started to invite him out and start hanging with him, calling and talk to him, he's like, I'm kind of envious really at this point because I'm like, damn, like, you grew up with dad,
Yeah.
And I'm thinking he got like this powerful, he like, hey, bro, he never talked to me. Like, I don't, he's never been a dad. Like, he's there, yes, but he's like, he's never, he's never gave me a talk or conversation about this or whatnot. Like, came to a couple of he said he'd been to 2 of his basketball games. I'm like, damn, he went to 2 of my basketball games. You know what I'm saying? And I played for 12, 13 years. Like, and he's like, he lived with him though. So I'm like, damn, okay. So how was that dynamic? He's like, I mean, again, he doesn't, we have a relationship because I live with him, but it's nothing really there. I can't be like, yeah, my dad taught me this or I know this because of my dad. It's like, nah. So I was like, damn, okay. Well, maybe if I did have him, I'll still end up in the same way I ended up. Who knows? But
yeah, because that was gonna be my next question. Because if they had a relationship, like, how would that make you feel? Like,
yeah,
if you would have been in, because that is a question that I see a lot is when, especially when a dad is not in the picture with one family,
yeah,
but it's completely in the picture with another.
Yeah.
So I can see how that can make certain people feel a certain type of way. But seeing as though the relationship isn't there on either side.
Yeah, I never, man, and honestly, till you just asked me that, I never thought about like, because I did think about it. I was like, damn, okay. I did want to get closer to my brother to figure out like, damn, is he being what type of dad was he, right? Because at least I wouldn't have to talk to my dad. I could just ask him like, hey, But to get that it was the same person that he probably would have been to me, I'm like, I ain't miss nothing, man. It's, and I'm not mad at him.
So I love this conversation because it's kind of something I can kind of relate to because you said something in there where, you're a little hesitant to have the conversation or start the conversation, start down that road. And before we get into the Dear Fathers platform, I do have a question, and I'm gonna answer it too because you actually made me start thinking because I actually almost feel the exact same way as you do. So if to start the conversation, what would your dear father question be to your own father? What would that first question be? Because in my perspective, and I give you some time to think about it, my father left when I was younger, even though I knew where he was. He was right 10 minutes down the road.
Right.
But being present as what we would feel as a present, because like we used to go over there every other week, right? We go do the same weekend parenthood thing or divorcee or whatever you call it. Visitation, that's what it is, visitation. But then when I got maybe to, maybe late junior high, that stopped. Not coming to games, not hearing from him, not seeing him, really not even having dialogue with him until my mom passed and I was over 30. You know what I mean? Like those types of things. But when she passed, he hit me and was like, look, I wasn't there, but I guarantee you I'm going to be here from now on. And he did. He has been. I can't take that away from him. Okay. But that long stretch of years where you weren't necessarily there, my question is why? And my question is, was it me? Sometimes kids feel like sometimes it's them or whatever. And it's like, what would that first question for you be to start the dialogue? Because like you said, I know we men, but at sometimes when it comes to parents or people that we necessarily supposed to have this love for, we can kind of be a little sensitive when it comes to those broaching certain topics, because sometimes it can hurt. Actually, the responses can. So it kind of makes us pause for a little bit. But what would your question be?
Real quick before I answer that, what your dad do? Did he grow up with his dad?
His dad, he grew up with him, but he used to beat the brakes off of them back in. That was long. I mean, that was a different type of. He was a different type of beast.
That's down in the country.
Man, shut up.
Right? I'm saying,
shut up. But you were trying to be funny. Hey, look, I knew I was waiting on the bullet, and I know you was shooting, but it was definitely down back in the sticks. That's High Point, North Carolina. So
okay, yeah, man. So I know exactly what I would ask him, and I mean it because it's just always been on my mind, and it's just that hey, like, I don't really know how, because this is my first question I want to ask, but I don't really know how to ask it first, like without like warming up. But I'm like, hey, like, do you think you were a good dad? Because I feel like, and the reason why I want to know the answer to that is because I don't think he like I said, he doesn't do the work, right? He doesn't do the work the work in my eyes at least, right? So, he'll call. I mean, he has 2 granddaughters, right? And I see what other people, granddads, what they look like and what that does. And my wife's dad does for my youngest. And, I see what a granddad looks like. Again, not everybody gonna be the same, so it's not gonna look it. But and I seen him, so he had a glimpse where he was like, when the baby's birthday, right? Or, okay, cool. Christmas, I just sent you something in the mail. I sent you a card with some, he still sent money orders, so whatever. I don't know. Anyway,
money orders. Good God. He said, "Oh, I ain't the Western Union ones."
Man, and it was, and so he sent 2 money orders. I'm like, yo, somebody needs to get with this guy. So he sends 2 money orders, and I'm like, all right, cool. Like, you could tell that, okay, he's thinking about, okay, boom. And that's what he used to do. He used to send me $60 money orders. Like, he used to send them to my mom when I was a kid. And, but I want to know, do you think you were a good dad? And again, and that's going to kind of like base the rest of the conversation, because if he says like, yeah, I think I was a good dad, then I'll ask like, damn, okay, so what does a good dad look like to you, right? Because shit, I just wanted to talk to you a lot, right? I would have just wanted you call and check, hey, how was your game? Like, you don't even have to be around, but how's your grades? Blah, 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 blah. And so I want to know that to be able to base the rest of the conversation, because if he like, yo, I feel like I wasn't a good dad, and I want to know, like, why didn't you? Then I go back to your question, like, well, why didn't you do stuff to, be better? Because I ask my kids now, like, what do you think daddy can do to be like a better dad? What does that look like? Oh, play Roblox with me more. Playing Roblox more. I got a Roblox date in about an hour, So I asked my oldest, she's like, oh, I just want to talk about school more with you. Easy. Let's do it, right? And it changes. So next month, that may not be what they want, right? And so somebody told me on one of our calls we were having, because we do some monthly things with dads and me, and they were like, I kind of presented like, as these kids get older, man, I'm still fighting to try to figure out what to do next, how to stay relevant in my kids' like thought process and their thinking, like, because they got a lot of stuff to entertain them. They'll stay on the computer, the tablets, the iPhone, all of that. If you're not being intentional about like, what you want from me, just ask them straight up. And it don't have to be rude or nothing or crazy, but just, hey, what do you like to do with dad? Let's do it. Cool. So yeah, that would be my question, man. Just like, do you feel like you were a good dad? And we just see wherever the conversation takes us from there. Because I don't know if I'm gonna tell him if I felt like he wasn't, because I do feel like we have to give our parents grace. Because I was mad at my mom. Like, I was mad at my mom more than my dad, because talking to my mom, I started to realize, hey, like you got with this guy, had a kid, and realized you didn't like him, and you started to treat him X, Y, and Z a certain type of way. Because he's not a bad person. He didn't like walk out. That wasn't the reason why they weren't together. She's like, nah, I could walk all over him. It was too easy. That's fine, right? And so then he wanted to be in a relationship. He wanted to be married. So he went and got married. He found a wife. Unfortunately, he didn't have the fatherhood instinct to just be a dad, right? To still be like, okay, we're separated, but I'm still going to be as active in my first child's life. And again, I feel like it's perspective, man. And that's why I say I got grace for him, because I feel like he's just doing what he knew how to do, what he saw, but he wasn't putting in the work. That's where I would ding him at, is he wasn't putting in the work to try and step outside of what he knew, right?
No, that's definitely interesting.
I could say, and I'm not just saying this because we're on the podcast, but we've done this before, and it's an easy way to broach that conversation. Just sit down and watch the episode that you drop. Like, we've had people sit there and watch these episodes with their family members.
Yeah.
And it opens up like a lot of doors, because literally you can pause it right after you ask the question on here and just sit right there and look at them. Don't go into your answer. Don't go into all the stuff you would have said, and then you can just have a conversation right then.
Yeah.
Like, it's just there. And I can say, I couldn't imagine, because so let me ask you something. I don't know if this is too personal or not, but
good.
If it's a father that's not there, but you're named after that person,
yeah,
like, does that affect you a different way? Because because it's like he had to care about you at some point because he gave you his name, right? Does that ever play a role or no? That's just from the outside perspective. I have no idea. My father's name is Reggie. My name is Elijah Juan. We are nowhere close.
Yeah, I can answer that one too. Because sometimes you got to think about it now. Sometimes naming a kid is an ego thing too. I mean, it's not necessarily I care. Look, I got one. You're gonna get my name because it's about
that could be
it's about 60 Elijah Everetts. Yeah, nah, it's about 60 Elijah Everetts in my family. I ain't gonna sit here and tell you a lot. I got 3 first cousins that's named Elijah Everett.
Damn. That's the country. Yeah, that's the country. Yeah, that's the country for sure.
A word. I don't think y'all want to shoot today. I shoot back.
So what happens at the family reunion? Do y'all got like nicknames or something, or do they just say Eli and everybody turn around?
Nah, I didn't start getting called Eli until I got to college. I never heard Eli, but my family called me Moses. Remember?
That's right. So that's right. But every other Elijah,
I don't know. I ain't really been around them since I was little. After they tried to kill me and my little brother, I ain't really been around.
Jesus.
They tried to kill you for real, or
man? They was out. So I don't think they like this. They ain't like us growing up because again, we didn't stay with him. But when we came up, we've always been taught to look like something when we walk out the house.
Mm-hmm.
And so even though we didn't have a lot, we always looked presentable and we were always good at everything that we did. And so when we would visit, who are these strangers that's coming to show off? We had that type of perception because of who are these 2 kids that think they better than us. I'm like, come on now, we ain't no better than anybody else. We don't even really know y'all because we don't get to see you, even though you're family. But I think as we got older, I think some of them would reach back out, like the aunts and uncles. But nah, they ain't really like us. I mean, I ain't gonna sit here and tell you no lie. But it was about, I know 3 first cousins off rip. That was Elijah Everett.
That's wild.
Yeah, so I would say was.
No, it is. I mean, now I get it, right? Now, if your dad had 8 kids, what's the George Foreman? Is George Foreman do that or Evander Holyfield? One of them.
No, George Foreman did that. All George Foreman.
Yeah, so they were all his kids. Now, that's bizarre, but I kind of get it. It's like, okay, whatever.
I don't get that now. You co-signing for that one.
No, I was saying, but it's like the dad, but it's like, okay, put it this way. If you got cousins, that means your uncle was like, yo, I'm gonna name my son this, and then your dad was like,
after my grandfather,
right? It was
they all named after your grandfather.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know how far this goes back. I really
Yes.
don't. I don't know. If you look at my family tree on my parental side, it's parental side, paternal side. I ain't listening to y'all. I know my vocabulary, but I guarantee you, all them branches got Elijah Everett going all the way up, probably all the way back too. I don't know how far, but it's way back there now.
Man, okay. But yeah,
What
man.
about
So
you and your name?
I would say so. As far as Johnson Jr., my mom told me, like, I think I was just writing Lamar Johnson like in school, and she's like, make sure you put the Jr. on. I'm like, all right, and I kept forgetting. She was like, your dad has warrants out. You won't gonna be mistaken for him. I'm like, all right, let me put the Jr. on here. Like, other than that, like, I never, man, like, I don't,
She threw that salt in there. That's like good seasoning. Like, yo,
So that was always my thing. I'm like, I'm gonna make sure I put this Junior in. They ain't about to take me to jail based off of him. Like, And so, no, I don't think it was anything. I think lack of creativity for both of them, maybe. Okay, fuck it. We'll just name them. We don't even have a middle name, So my dad named my little brother Dominique Lamar Johnson. So I'm like, bro, you just let it go, dog. Like, you're doing a lot, but
that's more like the ego thing, like Eli was talking about.
Yeah, probably so. And I think he think he's cool. So I think it probably fell into that. He think he a cool guy, so fell into the ego thing. But yeah, I didn't think much of it, man. I think some people do carry that, or what like they carry it around like as a badge of honor, like I'm the junior, it's a legacy, this and that. But I am the legacy. I'll start it, and I'll be, he'll reap the benefits from it. But man, I don't think too much about it.
So speaking of your legacy, and it's starting with you starting your legacy off not only with your daughters, but your overall platform.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to us about the inception and what your general goal and your mission, your ultimate mission, not your general mission, but your ultimate vision of everything that you have going on right now. Because, if anybody goes out and looks at it, they see tons of content, tons of information and knowledge that's being shared and dropped. But what is the ultimate vision that you want to accomplish? You and your co-founder, not just you.
Yeah. I mean, I think, like I said, ultimately to start what we did was because, we grew up without our dads and any real relationships with our dads, and his story is he met his dad once. He came to a basketball game, never seen him again until he was like 36, which was like last year. And so, initially we were starting a forum. We were like, okay, for these questions that will want to be asked, hey dad, should I shave before this interview? Or, should I wear a tie? Because whatever, these quick questions that you can ask your dad, we're like, fuck it, we'll start a forum and we'll get black men to be able to just quickly respond and answer these questions for these kids. Because how do you get these answers if you don't have anybody to ask? So we wanted to create something for black men to be able to help black children growing up, right? And so we launched, we didn't really get into a forum, but we started an Instagram page and we started to post content. And so the way that we see it is we're like, first we're going to show pictures, because the narrative is, and we all know this is to change because, we have Instagram really, but in Facebook and whatever, social media. But we see that we know the narrative is black dads aren't as present in their children's lives as other races. And so we're like, okay, bet we'll start to post these pics of celebrities and black men just doing everyday things with their children, to show the world, like, look, man, it's happening. Like, this was posted yesterday, right? These celebrities do hang out with their kids. They're black men, they're black dads. And so we started to pick up the traction, man, and it starts to grow. And we're like, damn, okay, maybe we got something more than just a forum here. Let's do a podcast. And so we're reaching for the stars, man. Like I told you earlier, we've been interviewing and talking to celebrities. Like, we've been doing the outreach and figuring out how to do this thing and kind of grow and build these relationships. Like, our background is branding and graphic design. and we went to school for that. And so the look is there. And so we always believe that we could look like Nike without Nike funds. We can look like, Bleacher Report without the same bank account. And so all we have to do is get in front of these people, and then they'll either say, yeah, we'll do it or we won't. And so we look at ourselves as the fatherhood platform, the Bleacher Report for fatherhood, right? Black fatherhood. So we want to be able to create like lighthearted content and be able to still talk about some serious things as well, but we want to be able to keep putting it out, cranking out somewhere for you to come and see like Black families flourishing and Black men being Black fathers and doing positive things. And we talk about mental health. So yeah, initially we started with the fatherhood, the Dear Fathers podcast. And so like you said earlier, what would you categorize as? Dear Fathers is a media platform dedicated to telling stories for Black fatherhood, the premier media platform. And so we share these stories, man, from the podcast series that we have. And then we have a Fearless Fathers campaign, you can say, where we let everyday dads come and tell their stories. And so they get to post and upload pics of them and their kids, and they get to answer a few questions and say who they are as a dad, what are their experiences, and we upload those to our website. And so then we do our events, where that's just geared to bringing each community out from each city and state that we kind of like have larger followings in. And so we'll do these events and they come out and we talk about mental health and fatherhood. And so that's to then, as dads, as men, we just get caught up in the hustle and bustle of like going to work and just repeat, right? Provide and trying to, do our thing. And occasionally, we watch some sports, right? Have some drinks. That's our life. Take care of our kids, go to work, have some drinks, a little fun, get back to it, right? And so what can we do to then like bring these dads out to kind of get out of that everyday hustle? So we started to do these events where that men already like sports, right? So, okay, cool. We'll put these together. NBA, cool. I'm a Black dad. Like, this is for me. And so we create these spaces where Black men come and talk about mental health and fatherhood. And we reach out to who we want to be on the panel, right? And we line them up, and then we go out and we watch the game like an hour, probably like 2 to 3 hours before the game starts. Maybe we're on the court doing our event, doing our panel. Maybe we're in a building, in a room, like in the same building. But ultimately, we all go down and we watch the game and we just fellowship and have a good time. Sometimes there's a happy hour between the panel and the game, and then we just break bread. We're hanging out, man. It's for families. It's for, because you come out and you listen to these men tell these stories about who they are as dads and talk about their mental surrounded by it. And, sometimes we have like, celebrities on, and we'll have public figures and people with a following and a name that people want to hear from. I think it's just a good time, man. And so we do offer something once a month. It's called Straight Mental, and it's a virtual group where we have a male therapist, a licensed therapist on, and a group of us, man. We come out from people from all over the world, not just the country, but the world. African American dads come on and talk about like what's been going on, man. These things get super deep, like, man, it's during the pandemic, it was the peak, like it's when we launched it. And man, it's been guys on there crying, just kind of sharing their story, their relationship with their dad's passing, not having a dad. Like, it's not all about not growing up with a dad. Like, it's not, it's about you had your dad growing up and he passed away, or, how do you do this fatherhood? They taking your kids, and, you got all these stories. And so, man, hey, we have different topics. Imposter syndrome. What's it like at work being a Black man, right? Like time management, right? And so we get into all these topics, man, and that's how we kind of catapulted our platform, man, just being one of those platforms where it's a ton of Black men coming together and we're talking about mental health, being vulnerable. You don't see that nowhere. Everybody's trying to talk about how to date or how much money you should have if you date, or how, what type of man you should be if you, whatever, sports, all these. So that's been our thing, man. And then we got that. And then we have a Books and Bourbon. It's a book club that we have. We offer once a month. Pick a book, and then the next month, we share the book, and they have a drink, and you don't have to drink, but you can come, and it's a cool time, man. And so we just try to do these things to create something for dads to do throughout the month, just kind of take their mind off the everyday, the circle of life, like the rat race, or so to speak, right? And so yeah, man, that's what we're doing, man. We have our nonprofit, Fearless Fathers, where we had an event called Dads at the Zoo, where we have the dads come out. We all go to the zoo, food, drinks, games, bounce houses, holidays with dads. We do things each December around Christmas, and Christmas decorating, ornaments, gingerbread houses, games, cake, gift. This year we gave out free bikes and free toys to the dads. And so my whole thing around that was to obviously create events around outside of just Father's Day, right? That's where you're going to spend time with your kids, you're going to create these memories, but let's create stuff outside of that as well, right? To build, because when you have somewhere to go, most of the time you're going to go, but it's not a lot of stuff created for us. And so I'm like, hey, it's Christmas time, man. Let's get some free bikes away, right? Because my kids it's a core memory. They're going to remember this. Like, I remember that time we went to Dad, we were playing cornhole, and we were shooting, and we played some games, and we got a bike, and, we played a contest and all these things. We made some cookies. Man, I did that with my dad. Like, they get to go back to school Christmas break after Christmas. This is what I did with my dad, right? And so that's what we're about, man, trying to create these memories and just promote fatherhood. Not just posting pictures saying, hey, Black dads are hanging out with their kids, but okay, what are you doing to help it or encourage it? Like, oh, we putting these events together as well. So it's a little bit, man. That's what we have going on right now, man. And next month, March 30th, we're doing our event with the Atlanta Hawks. And so we will have a pregame panel about fatherhood and mental health. And we're working on because every city we go to and we do these events, we do a community thing as well, to where like we end up picking up trash the day before or the day after. We go on like mental health hikes with like local organizations, runs in some cities. We did something with we did something with kids in Dallas where we took our children and they did like this creative learning center. So we always do something in the community to kind of give back and help encourage those things to those cities that welcome us into their cities, and try to do our thing as well.
Super dope.
This is why I couldn't just put like podcast or something in the beginning of this intro. Like I would have been doing a complete and total injustice of what I would have said.
No, it's all good. Yeah, man. Like I said, ultimately, like we're a media platform, man. We want to be like Bleacher Report, man, where when you think of Black fatherhood, you're coming to us. Like, what? I want a Black father influencer. Okay, let me hit up your fathers. I want some Black dads or Black men to do this commercial for hit up their fathers. Like, we want to just be that platform that you think to go to. That's fun. That's cool. And then we kind of look at ourselves. We are at the center of like culture and fatherhood. Like we want it to be cool, right? Because we see these other platforms popping up, and they, they promote fatherhood, but we feel like we're cool, we feel like we
they promote fatherhood in like a real way, not like a stage, not like a buttoned up, like
exactly.
Like, no, you don't talk to your kids like that. Like, I sit them down and I just tell them like,
exactly,
shut up.
bro.
It does that. No, it does that.
Exactly. So that's TV. What it is. It's not TV, dog. And so
right.
It's no filters, man. Like me, I don't curse a lot. I'm not like that, but if that's who you are, come as you are, man, let's get it out, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, get it out, bro. Get your issue off. But because at the end of the day, that's how you communicate, right? If that's who you are, that's how you talk. Like, let's do it. Like, we want everybody to come and just feel comfy where they at, Obviously, we're not tolerating every single thing, man. People get to acting crazy. But, for the most part, man, we want to bring culture, music, fashion, all of these things tied into where we attract hey, I like sports. They doing that over here. I'm a Black dad. They doing that here. Baseball like that, or like football. So we try to do that to keep it. They call it hiding the medicine in the candy.
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
So so we just kind of our thing, man. it's fun, but you're gonna get some gems. Like even from this conversation, man, some stuff that you guys have said, I'm definitely applying it, man. And I've said it in the last 5 years. I've learned so much from the men and just going on podcasts or talking to other people, doing what we're doing in different spaces, but even just our groups we put together. There's so much stuff to learn, because I didn't grow up with a dad to give me any of that stuff. And some people did grow up with a dad and they have these things to share this advice, and we just be throwing the stuff around. Here, take this, use this, bro. Hit me up if you need something. I don't know this man. Like you asked me when we got on, hey, you know this guy Kelsey on the podcast? I don't know that man, but I can call him and say, bro, like, yo, daughter just went, she played basketball. Like, my daughter about to start, right? And he'll give me whatever, man. And that's how we want to do it, man. Like, everybody's open and honest and just, like, free to just give whatever type of game they have. And you can take it or leave it.
The Bleacher Report of fatherhood is dope. That's dope.
Now, he worked on that. He said he'd do marketing. So he worked on that one for a little while.
Eli got the Pat McAfee set up in the back. He got his flags and his teams.
Yeah, I was gonna get on him about that Cubs thing. We don't really rock with that in St. Louis, like Cardinals, man. We don't really rock with the Cubs like that. But
word up,
to each his own. If you're into that type of stuff,
you have to walk that one off a little bit. It's all right though.
You're into that. If you're into that, man, I salute you, man.
So one of the things we always do with is we ask for advice, right? And we ask for advice for new fathers, but we change it based upon the guest, like situations. And one thing you said earlier that a situation you was in, I've been there before, where you're not necessarily in a relationship, but you're still under that same roof and you have a child together, and you're trying to figure out like how I can make it through.
Yeah.
Like, and I know those nights when you're just sitting there and you're just like, oh my God, like I don't know what I'm gonna do. How I'm gonna move nets. Like, I don't know how I'm getting off this couch.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to somebody that's going through that, especially with a child? Because it's like I don't want to leave my child, but I know I can't live like this.
Yeah. True. Man, I think the ultimate goal has to be that you want to do better, like for your kid, though, right? I think you got to have the right intentions. If it's like, I'm sleeping on this couch because I can't get my act together, like, I'm a cheater, or like whatever the reasons are. If it's not, I feel like once you put the main thing, which it'd be like, hey, I need to provide for my kid, or just be a better dad for my kid, or be a better man, because like my goal was, I remember, man, I was people say they were homeless, like I'll be like, damn, like low key I was homeless, right? I was sleeping on their couch, my license was suspended, I was working at a temp agency making like $10 an hour, I didn't have a car, I was walking to work, I would walk and drop my daughter off at daycare, and I walk to class. And so I was like, damn, like low key I was homeless, but I don't want that to be my narrative, but I think like I wanted better, I wanted more, and then so for me it's like I look at my kid, I'm like, I can't be living like this, man, like, so I think you gotta just be intentional when you look at your kid and say, I gotta do better, right? Like I need a better situation. Like if my kid was old enough to be like, damn, like why my dad sleep on the couch, that shit would have hurt me, but it didn't get to that point, and so I think the advice would probably just be, man, you got to come up with a why, which was, to do better for your child. And I think that would just like give you all the motivation you need. But I think ultimately, like regular advice I always give, and like I said, it's just being intentional. Like I told you guys earlier, I'll ask my kids like, hey, it's probably the best advice I got from somebody. It's like, man, even if you feel like, you're killing it or whatever, ask your kid, like, how can dad do better? Like, what fun stuff can dad do with you? And you'll be surprised to hear, like, yeah, dad, I just want to read a book with you, or can we just take walks, right? Like, man, I'll be like, damn, okay. Like, and then you will be, because people always say, hey, Lamar, like, you a good dad, man. You got the pictures and you got the platform. And you've been doing this even before the platform. You're just a good dad. And I'm like, first off, thank you. All right. But then second, it's like, I don't really care what y'all think, right? The people, I don't care because that's irrelevant. What are my kids gonna say at 25? Because that's when it really clicks, and they're looking at their friends and they're like, "Damn, y'all dad didn't show y'all that? Oh yeah, y'all dad don't. Wait, how do I know this? Oh, my dad put me on this, right? So, or it's gonna be, damn, we don't know shit. And somebody else can be like, your dad taught you that? My dad ain't tell me nothing, right? And so that's when it'll click in, and they'll be like, you're gonna hear from him, Dad. I was talking to this girl. She said she didn't even know how to put her shoe. You know, you're gonna be like, yeah. She's like, yeah, Dad, thank you for that. And that's when I'll be like, okay, bet. All right. I was a good dad, or I am a good dad, because right now my kids say, Dad, you're the best. Yeah, I bought you a cookie, right? Yeah, of course, right? I can't take that. Yeah, I can't take that serious, right? But later on, that's when I'll be. But just being intentional, man, all the way through. That's how I look at it.
No, something you said, when you're intentional and you're talking to your kids to kind of get an understanding of what you can do better, that takes a level of humility, because you never know what they're really going to say back to you. You just have to be prepared to receive whatever it is, because the one thing you can recognize is that people say kids are honest. Now, kids lie sometimes too, but they're honest when you're not expecting them to be. And that's when it might be hurt. It might get hurt.
Yeah. No, for real.
But thinking about that, and like you said, being intentional and understanding the dynamic that you need to establish with your children to be the best father that you can be. But ultimately, what do you want your legacy as a father to be?
Man, that my kids will, the legacy I would like to leave, like, I think it's two separately though, like the impact on like the world is one, and then in my children's life, right? So the legacy that I would like to live on my kids is that, my dad was always there for me, like whatever, like whether it was financial, like I needed to talk, or, need somewhere to live, like anything, my dad was always there. I could talk to him about whatever. And I do, and I admit I need to do better with those things, because, man, when we tired, man. Like, my kid be talking, oh, I was in band class and I'm falling asleep, man. Like I was in orchestra and the teacher said, as Susie said, and I'm just like, bro, okay. Like, so, but I do need to do better. And so that would be my legacy, man. It's just, I want them to always be like, my dad was there, and whenever I needed him, like I can call him, like in any situation. And I think that would probably be everybody's, right? But I think, to add to it, like I said, my legacy for the world would be that, as far as on fatherhood, like where, we created something that changed the way that people view Black fathers. But also, like, we kind of brought like excitement to our community, like we encouraged like spending time with your kids, because it's hard out here, man. We don't even got that much time in the day, right? But you can still promote and do something with your kid, whether it is a walk, whether it is a book. And they take that stuff, it's so far, they take it and run with it. Like they'll be at school. Like my daughter, she's telling her teacher when she's in the 5th grade, she's like, I guess they were learning about finances or something. She's like, yeah, I help my dad like package up t-shirts and send out things for his business. And so when I met her teacher, she was like, oh, so you're the entrepreneur dad. And I'm like, huh? She's like, yeah, she told me that, you have a business and you do X, Y, and Z. So you just never really know what they're soaking in, what they're taking. And so I do make sure that they're doing everything with me to just create these memories, but also like, hey, if you want your own business, let's do it, But I did want to share, so like a few weeks ago, my youngest daughter, she's 6. I came home because for work, I'm out of town, man. I'm out of town. Like, I'm probably home like 7 days out of the month. And so FaceTime and a lot of calls. And so I'm at home right now because I took this week off, but she wrote a letter, like a note, and she was like, oh, Dad, I miss you and I love you. And so she left it and she went to bed. And so I wrote, like, and responded to it. And I was like, oh, I miss you too. I love you. And then her response was, but it doesn't always feel like it. Bro, I was like, fuck. Okay. I ain't even write nothing else. Like, I ain't tell my wife. I kind of slept on it. I'm like, well, Okay. So I talked to her the next day, but that fucked me up. And like, I needed to just figure out why she was saying that. And, you know, she was saying, oh, because sometimes you get upset with me. And sometimes, you know, when I do wrong, you be mad. And I'm just like, you know, obviously she's 6, you know, it's just, you got to kind of like have the conversation. But the fact that it even crossed her mind, like, oh, it doesn't seem like you love me or miss me. I'm fuck. So, like you said, it's a hard truth. Sometimes you ask questions, it's like, oh, I thought she was gonna say you wanted a new bike, and I didn't get it. You know what I'm saying? I could easily explain that, but I can't. You know, and I know it's me being gone plays a role, so I won't be doing this too much longer. But it's every
That's
day.
something my daughter said to me. Was like, she said you were gone. Like she hit me with, but you're gonna leave because you're gone. You're always gone. And it was like, oh my God. Mom said that was right before I moved back from Charlotte. Like kids got a way to just say little things to you, and it'll just destroy you. The simplest little things.
I think it's because we already like got it working in our mind too, like that. You know, I need to do better. I need to spend more time. Or I need to do these things and be more present. And then when they hit you with something, like it just goes
confirm it.
Yeah, it goes, just adds on to
and
it.
If you know it, that confirmation from them makes it harder to swallow.
Yep, I agree, bro. 100%.
No, look, I really enjoyed this conversation with you, man, because not only did we have conversation that I personally can attest to and can actually pull from experience from, but it's also very inspiring to see what you're trying to do. You and your partner accomplish with Dear Fathers, the movement, not just the media, not just you know, the platform. It's just overall from the events down to, you know, the dialogues, down to the conversations with panels. Like that is something that we talk about all the time that's needed, because these conversations are not just for the people that are talking. These conversations are actually for us as well. You know what I mean? Like being able to share similarities that for me, like for today, was a confirmation that I'm not the only one that has reservations of broaching certain topics with my father, and or just hearing certain things as far as the impact of some of our children's words to us. Like, you know, you and AJ was talking about that, or even I can relate to different topics that I hear from my kids. Like these are the conversations that actually have substance, that actually have matter, that matter and actually have an impact as men. Because you don't have to admit that you're going through it, but you will feel it. And if you can grab something from a conversation like this, and you taking your time on your off week to share some of that with us, man, we really appreciate you jumping on, Mr. Lamar Johnson Jr.
Yeah, please say the junior, man. I ain't trying to get pulled over and took to jail, man. You know, but nah, man, I do, sure. Man. These conversations, man, and listening to it, like we listen to the podcast, man, but I had these conversations. It's so therapeutic for real. And my partner, when he does the podcast, he always tell them like, man, this was therapeutic, because it is, man. Like it does. It's like, I know you guys do it. It's your job at this point on, you know, when we get into it full time, whatever it is, but it's your job at this point. And so when it doesn't feel like work, right? Like I'm out here, like we're having the time of our life, right? We're learning how to be better men, how to be better dads. We're like, I wanted to be in the NBA at some point, right? But okay, I'm not there, but I'm working with the NBA. I'm meeting NBA players. I'm meeting NFL players, right? So we meeting our favorite musicians, and you know what I'm saying, and stuff like that. And so it's like, okay, bet, right? Like it was good. It was gonna happen some way, but I mean, we enjoying it, man. And I think like, like the gym, like I said, we have a podcast dropping, man. We recorded with Pusha T, and so man, that's one of our favorite rappers, you know. And it's just like Shaq, that was our last guest. Like Pusha T next, man. It's like we would have never dreamed or thought we was gonna be doing this at this level, but like we're really enjoying it, man. I appreciate you guys having me on, because like I hadn't did an interview in a while, but you never know what you're gonna learn or take from, you know, whoever you talk to, because we all got different stories, and shit, we all have something that we can give, you know. I did want to ask with Charles though, like, how'd y'all come up with y'all name, and how long y'all been going?